what makes Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira a great matchup, and why is actually Alex Pereira too tough match for Israel Adesanya? First of all, you know that they fought 2 times in kickboxing. You know that Alex Pereira won him. You know that Alex Pereira is the only man to knock him out cold. But I'm going to tell you one thing. That looping left hook, that's very much of a powerful weapon. And that looping left hook is something that gives you wings, especially when it comes to marching forward, to brawling. And good brawling is something Israel Adesanya is not particularly good at. That's situation number 1. Now, number 2. Alex Pereira offers very decent low kicks. Low kicks are the great way to slow people down. Adesanya bases the majority of his movement and the majority of his success in the game on footwork. If you stop his footwork, it means that he will probably have a hard time evading shots, and Alex Pereira is a toe-to-toe fighter. When a movement, technical fighter fights a guy who constantly backs down, or a guy who constantly fights toe-to-toe, that's gonna be a problem. Third, Adesanya constantly does this. You know, right. Pereira counters with the left. So it's 50-50 when it's gonna land, and Pereira is not gonna back down like Jared Cannonier. He's not gonna feint too much. Pereira is gonna march forward. Pereira is a typical type of the opponent who has no fear, you know. Pereira is a guy of the opponent. There is no fear on the end of Alex Pereira. That's what I'm going to tell you. Alex Pereira is just going to brawl, just going to march forward. And if you notice, the majority of fighters who came close to defeating Israel Adesanya, the majority of them were heavy brawlers. The majority of them knew to brawl, knew to fight toe-to-toe. And especially Marvin Vettori, for example, when it was a split decision, Marvin Vettori was constantly marching forward. And fighters with a very high level IQ are not going to defeat Israel Adesanya because he has amazingly high fight IQ. We mustn't discuss about that in the fight against Jan Blachowicz, because Jan Blachowicz is heavier. He weighed 205 plus his natural light heavyweight. That's something we mustn't discuss. I'm not saying that Jan Blachowicz sucks. Jan Blachowicz is a great fighter, but heavier fighter, that's a whole different dimension. Please don't mix apples and oranges. Number 4. Israel Adesanya has excellent high kicks. Pereira is the guy who defends high kicks well. You know, Pereira is like a kickboxer, you know, and he is not on the tips of his toes. But the ultimate problem for Israel Adesanya is going to be the fact that Pereira defends high kicks really well, plus Pereira defends punches really well. Number 5, Pereira's toughness. Pereira got used to eating shots, marching forward, striking, brawling, everything that has something to do with toe-to-toe exchange. So, if you ask me, this is a very, very tough matchup for Israel Adesanya, and I do believe that Israel Adesanya might not win this match, especially the only thing that goes in the favor of Israel Adesanya is the fact that they are not fighting in the squared ring. They are fighting inside the octagon. So circling and unorthodox movements are going to go into his favor. When you move along the side and when you circle your opponent, that's going to give you advantage, especially on the scorecards and especially, for example, in angle changes. Israel Adesanya has great angle change, better angle change than Alex Pereira. So that's why I'm saying that Alex Pereira might be a tough matchup for Israel Adesanya. These are reasons why Alex Pereira could actually win this fight.